Warning: due to sensitive content, viewer discretion is advised. In 1989, shoot-em-ups, or shmups, were a pretty popular genre among the Sega Genesis/Mega Drive library. Scrolling shooters like Thunder Force 2 and Forgotten Worlds, and rail shooters like Super Thunderblade and Space Harrier 2 caught the eye of gamers. Well, in the West mostly. The Mega Drive wasn't doing so well in Japan, compared to Nintendo's Famicom and NEC's PC Engine. Sega tried to boost sales by offering new peripherals, such as the arcade Power Stick controller, the Power Base converter for Master System games, and the Mega Modem, an early form of online gaming. None of these helped bring Sega out of third place in Japan, but there was some buzz about their upcoming CD-based add-on. As for the shmups in the Genesis library, 1990 saw even more releases, including Insector X, Phelios, Burning Force, Afterburner 2, Thunder Force 3, Hellfire, and the subject of this review, Gaiares. Released in 1990 for the Sega Genesis/Mega Drive by Renovation and developed by Telenet Japan, Gaiares was one of the coolest shoot-em-up games of the time. It has an impressive 8 megabits, one of the first games of Sega's 16-bit console to utilize a cartridge at this size. Unfortunately, despite its good publicity, including perfect scores from GamePro, the game didn't receive much fanfare. Not a lot of copies sold, and it went on to become a collector's item, with a loose cartridge going for at least $50 on eBay, and a complete inbox copy going for at least $100. The Japanese version goes for even more. But lo and behold, Eidia, the company that bought out Telenet's properties in 2020, teamed up with Retrobit, the makers of those awesome retro controllers, especially those Genesis and Saturn controllers officially licensed by Sega. And let's not forget those official reproduction cartridges, including Mega Man The Wily Wars, and most recently, the Valis trilogy for the Genesis, with Glailancer for the Genesis and Battletoads/Double Dragon for the Super Nintendo coming out later this year, and El Viento and Soldies coming to the Genesis in the near future. In the summer of 2022, after 7 months since pre-ordering, I was finally in receipt of a copy of Retrobit's official reproduction cartridge of Gaiares, and with it came a few neat extras. Let's check them out. Inside the package from Castlemania Games was the game itself, along with a large t-shirt with the Gaiares logo and the phrase, "Can you say Gaiares?" Inside the game case is the manual, a brochure, etc. And of course, the official reproduction cartridge. It's as rare as the original card itself. Retrobit only made as many copies as there were pre-orders, 6,000. Now let's go to the game. Gaiares was programmed by Masayasu Yamamoto, who is known for his work on the Valis series. As far as I know, Gaiares was his first game for the Mega Drive. Handling game design alongside Yamamoto was Koji Yokota in his Mega Drive debut. He would later go on to design monster graphics for Lunar Eternal Blue for the Mega CD/Sega CD. When Gaiares was released in North America, an advertising campaign featured Jamie Bunker, a 17-year-old game tester at Renovation Products, promoting the game. In 1991, he was featured in an ad stating, quote, "Gaiares is #1. The campaign offered a free t-shirt similar to the one Bunker was wearing with the purchase of a copy of Gaiares. The one I have came with the Retrobit cartridge, as stated earlier. And let's not forget that the brochure included with the Retrobit card not only has Bunker's 1991 photo on the front, but when you look inside, you not only see his 2021 self, but an exclusive interview with the spokesperson himself. Now to the gameplay and plot. In the year 3000, Earth has become a polluted wasteland, with humans becoming an endangered species, and the evil queen ZZ Badnasty, known as Zelduan in Japan, leader of the Gulfer space pirates, plans to harvest the pollution for destructive weaponry. It's up to space hero Dan Diaz, renamed Dan Dare in the West, to stop her. He's chosen to pilot a starfighter armed with an experimental weapon operated by Dan's lover Alexis, an alien princess from the United Star cluster of Lizaluth. In the game, you control Dan's starship and shoot down Bad Nasty's fleet. The ship is equipped with the TAWS system, similar to R-Type's Force. Press A to adjust the speed, hold B for rapid fire, and press C to shoot the TAWS at an enemy ship, destroy it, and copy its firepower. The more data it obtains, the stronger your weapon. However, you pay a hefty price for this method. You leave yourself vulnerable when you release the TAWS and you can't fire upon the enemy. Weapon stealing doesn't work on bosses. The P cannon fires plasma balls in a cone formation in front and behind the ship. The explosive T missiles are scattered when shot. The H laser, a long horizontal laser beam. S laser, heat-seeking lasers. V laser, wave-shaped lasers. G beam, a thick laser beam that bursts through enemies and terrain alike. The R collider alternates in firing in cardinal and intermediate directions. The T Vulcan fires bullets in a cone-shaped spread. The E smash conjures up plasma balls around the ship. Hold B to charge them, then release to open fire. F formation creates 4 TAWS modules in a single formation. These modules orbit your ship and fire projectiles. The A bullet fires rockets that deal massive damage. And finally, we have the T blaster, obtained by firing the TAWS 6 consecutive times and missing each time, then capturing on the 7th. This weapon fires heat-seeking plasma balls. There are other items to help Dan on his journey. The Break Defender protects the ship from 3 hits of damage, and the Dimension Quake clears the screen of all enemies. As with most shooters, take a hit or run into terrain, you lose a life, but you pick up from a checkpoint on the next life. But you're back to square one in terms of weaponry. Gaiares has 8 stages, each with a mini-boss and a regular boss. Stage 6 is a mini-boss rush, and Stage 7 is the main boss rush. Stage 8 is where you battle Queen ZZ Bad Nasty's mecha. Once you destroy her machine, the Queen dies in the explosion, and peace is restored. This game is extremely difficult. The original Japanese version was already tough enough, but Renovation products amped up the difficulty for the Western version, in fearing that video game rentals, which were banned in Japan, would cut into sales. But they could have made this game difficult strictly for rental shops and offer it with its normal difficulty at retail. However, the game does have built-in cheats to help you get through the game. On the title screen, hold one of the trigger buttons on your controller and press start. This will put you into configuration mode. Set the BGM to 18. Hold A on the second controller and exit configuration mode. At the title screen, press start and you've got your level selection screen. During the game, you can pause, then hold up on the D-pad and press A to choose your weapon. Or instead of A, you can press B while holding up after pausing. Then resume and fire the TAWS. Your weapon will be at full power. Now for the invincibility code. Pause, hold left A and C, then press start to continue, and your ship will be invincible for the duration of the stage. These codes may be difficult to decipher, but if Renovation wanted the game to be more difficult to combat rentals, they probably should have removed the codes completely before releasing it. But even then, by 1992, the Genesis version of Galoob's Game Genie, officially licensed by Sega, would curb these issues. Seriously folks, what's the point of amping up the difficulty of games to combat the rental industry with cheat devices around? Renovation's little scheme to fight rentals pretty much backfired. The built-in codes are still available in Retrobit's official reproduction cartridge, and these codes are the reason you see me beating the bosses. Overall, Gaiares is one of the most underrated shmups in the Genesis library. It's got awesome music, the cutscenes are spot on, and the box art is astonishing. And I mean both versions. The North American cover was already awesome on its own. The Japanese cover, however, was much better in practically every way. Dan's ship covering the Queen of Lizaluth. I think I can understand why Renovation changed the cover for the Western releases. The only issue I have is with the difficulty. That's why I resorted to using the built-in cheat codes to get to the end of the game for this B-roll footage. But then again, video game companies also use cheats for this reason, among others. It's going to take quite some practice if you want to clear Gaiares without cheats. If you manage to pick up the original cartridge from either North America or Japan, congratulations, because it's very uncommon. It was much cheaper to buy a complete copy of the Retrobit Repro when pre-orders were open than it was, and still is, to buy a complete original. Luckily, Gaiares was recently re-released for the Nintendo Switch as part of the Telenet shooting collection by Idea. It's already out in Japan, but it will soon hit North America. If you pre-ordered a physical copy from Limited Run Games, congrats! Despite how difficult this game is, give Gaiares a try, be it on the Genesis or via emulation. It's a blast of a shmup to play. Thanks again for watching Gaming Delight. Until next time, happy gaming!